Ladies and gentlemen of the internet, how's it going? Hope you're doing really well. My name's Icy and welcome back for yet another episode of the Gaming Express Show, which is my personal show of video game reviews. And on today's episode, we are going to be focusing on a brand new title, which was released about a week and a half ago, which is called Thomas Was Alone. This is a single-player indie platformer game, which was developed by one single person. Can you even believe that? You can find more additional information regarding this game by visiting the following website, which is the official website of the game, which is www.thomaswasalone.com. This game is purchasable at Desura.com for a total price of $10, which is, in my personal opinion, a very reasonable price for such an amazing game. You can even try the game beforehand, before buying the title, by downloading the demo itself. If you have a Desura.com account, you can try out the demo and try a lot of these beautiful puzzles that are already available for you. And we're going to be looking at these right now because I have the demo myself and I haven't bought the game. So the demo is wonderful. I'm going to show it off to you guys by giving you my first impressions and quick reactions. So let me show you the settings which are available. So you have the main volume, the special effects volume, and the soundtrack volume. That's all you have at your hands. The graphics settings are already set in the demo, so you don't need to do anything. If you have the full title, you can configure these settings at your own liking. But we're going to return to the main menu and actually try out this game so you guys can see how well made and polished this title is. The program was a failure. People forget this. It was a massive flop. The coder started adding names, strings to the AIs as a joke. Thomas AT23, la la la.
Thomas was alone. Wow. What we had first thought to have.
So you can view the map by, pressing your arrow keys, or you can move around with this little figurine, which is a red block, by using your AWSD keys, which are your most basic movement keys, as always, as almost in any game possible that's out there available in the gaming industry. But that's how you move around. You can either use the W key to jump around or the spacebar to jump. But I found the W key to be more productive in this kind of game. And you can already see that the lightning effects are somewhat beautiful, but we're going to be seeing these effects a lot more. They're going to be very developed as we progress in every puzzle that's available to us.
To start listing his observations for posterity.
And as you progress,
the whole alone thing.
You have this narrator, which, who's a very good voice actor himself.
To work out where. 3. Falling. Thomas was absolutely fantastic at falling. He was almost as good at falling as he was at observing.
And you know what? This narrator actually reminds me of another narrator. This might be the one voice actor that did the narration for Amnesia: The Dark Descent. I might be wrong, but he kind of sounds like him.
What if there was some kind of inverted fall? Some way to... what's the word? Jump.
Yeah, so as you just saw, we jumped.
The great inverted fall mystery.
And the narrator just dictated our success. So yes, the spacebar, you have all these descriptions under your little character that, tell you how to move around, and you have your escape button to pause the game itself. So the goal of the puzzle every time is to reach the little circled square.
Jump. But Thomas noted there was no real danger in this.
Sorry for skipping that narration. I didn't mean to do it, but again,
a little dangerous.
Beautiful narration, nevertheless.
Trusted was unstable, and it seemed to Thomas that it could let him down at any
Oh,
moment.
the pieces are breaking apart.
He was starting to suspect it might even be doing so on purpose. Paranoia.
Beautiful atmosphere going on. The lightning is just marvelous, and the glowing effects of the water are captivating as well. And you can see that the game is set up in a very fashionable angle. It's not your usual, vertical angle, but it's a little bit, angle to the side. very unusual looking game.
Any way to know? He seemed to be moving predominantly up and to the right, which might or might not be important.
And again, every puzzle has its own sort of color combination. This one has a more tealish kind of mix with a lot of gray going on.
It was becoming more complicated. It always seemed to be one step ahead of his skills.
Now, as far as the gameplay goes, the gameplay controls are very smooth. No doubt, the jumping and the movement are just well done. No complaints there. And as we move on, we are going to have more developed puzzles that are going to be presented to us.
Something about the boiling, toxic, glowing water intimidated Thomas. He didn't like it. He certainly didn't want to swim in it.
Now, these arrows that are indicating this spot right here are actually checkpoints that you'll find within certain puzzles that are particularly long and difficult. You'll want to, you know, stand on these and make sure you acquire them so that you can respawn back at that checkpoint if you happen to die and drown in the water like I'm just demonstrating right here. And it will respawn you back to those arrows, as you just saw. And the lightning, again, is just so beautiful. It glows in different angles. Sometimes the light will come out from your character itself, or other times it'll be from the middle of the map, or from another kind of source like water. And you can even see the shadow of our block as we're jumping around. Not too difficult of a game, although as you complete each and every puzzle, you will have more complicated ones, and you'll have to learn how to coordinate certain things with, you know, the different blocks, movable blocks that are available at your hands. And in a matter of, in a minute, we'll have about a new block, an orange one, which is kind of small. But for now, we are alone. So these puzzles that we are doing right now are very basic.
He could feel himself getting smarter. There was the mental list to consider. Over the minutes and seconds since his spontaneous generation, he'd become a pretty skilled jumper. He was evolving. He just wished he had someone to share it with.
Beautiful narration again. And I forgot to mention this, but you can also see the icon of the block that you're controlling on the right bottom corner of the game itself. You can see that little cube, the red square, I mean, that you saw in the corner. And that means that you're controlling this particular block. And we have completed the first chapter of the demo, at least. But the main story, the premise of this game is about, you know, cooperation and people learning how to deal with their other people and tolerate their differences. So now we have a new block that we can control. His name is Christopher, and he is quite not quite amused by the fact that, you know, the red block is higher and taller than him.
Chris had been doing fine. He wasn't the highest jumper, but he'd held his own. He'd even been graceful at times. Well, not technically graceful. It's probably the wrong word, but you know, fine. There was that skinny little runt leaping about like he owned the place.
So we have new keys that are introduced to us. The Q and E keys are your scrolling characters, which basically means that you're switching between characters by pressing E or Q. Q goes to your previous character while E goes to your next one, which makes perfect sense. Now again, not too difficult. We're moving on quite, you know, at a normal pace. Kind of difficult at times to jump between these kind of gaps, but we made it. And the music is just so captivating. It has a chip tune to it, while having that sort of like guitar tune to it in the background. It's very atmospheric, I would say. More so instrumental. Now, I just made a mistake here by going to my goal as far as my, well, with my red block, because I do need to help my orange block to, you know, make the jump here, because he can't really do it unless I have the red block that's helping him. And now that we made that jump, we can successfully go to, you know, our goal as far as this yellow block goes. So we made it. Now we just need to switch back to our main block and go back, get that well, not that checkpoint, but I mean getting ourselves into that little outline, that white outline. We have another puzzle.
Okay, this was more like it. The glowy white thing. Only Chris could get to it, which of course made it all the more enticing. What would it do? What new opportunity might this switch open up to him? Great. Another chance for Thomas to jump slightly higher than Chris. How fortunate. Seriously, this made the whole switch pressing thing entirely worthwhile.
So, as you're seeing right now, I'm using the red block to help the orange block to make the jumps to the top, which I'm gonna do. And it takes a lot of patience to actually do these kind of puzzles, if you really think about it. It's not about, you know, beating a certain puzzle in a optimized amount of time. You want to make sure you successfully complete the puzzles, and there are no records required for, you know, solving these kind of puzzles. So you don't have any leaderboards or multiplayer modes. This game is essentially a good game to play by yourself when you're not really, you know, stressing over things and you just want to relax. Although the game will progress on as you complete the stages, and you will, you know, the game will require you to use a lot of coordination skills.
Chris couldn't shake the feeling that things had taken a significant turn for the worse since Thomas had joined him. Sure, he'd been able to piggyback his way to ever so slightly higher platforms, but where had that got him? Well, to ever so slightly higher platforms, which was sort of his point.
Now this time, instead of the red block helping the orange block to reach that little white button that we stepped on, we did the other way around, using the yellow orangey block to, you know, make some footing for the red block. So that's how the game mostly works out. And as you have more blocks, the puzzles will be more complicated, obviously, and you'll be required to use all the blocks that are at your hands.
Pure hatred. He seems so very happy at their situation. Friends together, a brave fellowship of quadrilaterals on a quest for greatness. That would be fine. But it was all the obvious observation that Thomas was doing which grated. Every time they saw something vaguely new, Chris would hear a satisfied little from the vaulting idiot. He hoped the next portal would split them up, if only for a few levels.
Okay, now we're gonna use the red block again to make, sort of like, make that jump successful. Hopefully we'll be successful. Okay, thank goodness. Now we can go through that little gap as the orange block, and we can get, you know, get ourselves to the goal that we need. Not much difficulty here, as far as the yellow block goes. Now, unfortunately, because we can't go through this little gap as the red block, we'll have to go use another way. And this actually kind of made me, you know, this platforming made me sort of annoyed because I did fall into the water here and there. But I guess I'm doing this successfully. And I made it in one try. Lucky me. And interestingly, we have a new character introduced to us, who's John, the tall little piece of block, the green limeish one. Now this one's a little bit more complicated because you have to make sure that the yellow block goes to the top here, but you also have to have the red one going underneath it, so it's kind of a tricky situation here. So maybe instead of using the red block as footing, we'll do the other way around again. Maybe it will not work. I'm not sure how this will work out. Maybe I do have to go back to the original resolution. Okay. I see. Okay. Now we can make the jump. Now we just have to have the yellow block jump back on the top, and we made it. Success.
This would not do. John needed room to show off his exceptional skills. As it was, he was trapped on the wrong side of these little dot things. Where did they come from, anyway?
Very witty narration. The voice acting is very calm, absolutely not obnoxious. Although there is not a lot of story development, but you'll get to understand the ending of the story if you play the game a couple times and listen carefully to what is presented to you, and just, you know, focus on the little bits of text every chapter that you complete.
Use time to show those little dots how it was done.
Okay.
John decided to press the switch to let the little dots catch up with him. John cared for his new allies. You could tell from the sympathetic expression he practiced in the mirror all these years.
Okay, we need to get to the other end of this puzzle, and hopefully we'll make it in no time. Making the jump here and there. And again, as I've mentioned before, you can look at the little icons to the bottom right corner. These are the colors of the different blocks that you're controlling, and the white arrow that's, you know, above the selected color means that you're controlling the particular block that, you know, is analogous to the color. Okay. So we need the red block to support the yellow one here. So he can only make 2 square jumps. It's kind of odd controlling the Q and E buttons, but you'll get used to them quite quickly if you know, practice a lot and know how to switch appropriately. Okay. Moving on. We're falling down. Woohoo! The music does get kind of irritating at some point. It contains a lot of chiptune and piano and some guitar as well. Kind of sounds, you know, the same. It just has different variations. You'll notice it. Okay. Making the jump here. Moving on. And we're going to use the tall block to have our red block stand on it and jump And now, we're gonna have the tall bar here go to his place. And finally, the yellow block into his little spot here. Woo! Success! We made it. Okay. Well, guys, that's been enough for today. I hope you enjoyed this little episode right here. If you enjoy the game, make sure to download the demo at Desura.com before, you know, buying the game to make sure that you're gonna like it. Because I know that my review does not give you the full impression that, you know, this game is kind of good. Because you will have to try it for yourself. Although, I hope this video will give you some sort of motivation to try out the game and, you know, maybe give the developer a chance, you know, and maybe perhaps support him by buying the game itself. But overall, I'd have to give this game a rating of, I'd say, 8.5 on 10. Although this game has been rated 9 out of 10 at Desura.com, which is a great rating if you tell me. But if you want to, you know, tell me more about what you think of this game by commenting, and make sure to like, and follow my Twitter and Facebook for any random updates. And I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching again. Goodbye, folks.